Hi, how you doing? We are in the midst of winter has arrived and the cows still need to drink. And unlike that little pipsqueak that can get warm milk, the rest of them got to drink from this tank here. And that's where the challenge comes in. Can you get water to the cows all winter without it being a horrible chore and without having to touch it? So you don't have to touch it till springtime. So, do you have to spend $1,000, $2,000 to do that? Or can you do it brand new stuff for $200? So, we found a way where we could do it for $200 without digging holes, without all sorts of stuff. We have just the tank, okay, 100-gallon tank. Between the 6 of them, they will drink half of that a day, 50 gallons a day. So, takes a lot of water. And how do we get it to them so I don't have to touch it and so that it doesn't freeze? Well, here, look down around the base of the tank. See the base of the tank? Okay. This foil-faced insulation is wrapped around, and the strap goes around it, and there's these little brackets that we made. And the bolt goes through the top, and there's what? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 8 of the little brackets, these little, for the strap to go through, that hold this on. And this will last for, 4 or 5 years, maybe 6. Long as the tank will last, anyhow. Anyhow, lasts a long time. It does degrade with sunshine eventually. But to get the water into the tank, you know what we do? We use a little drain port that's down at the bottom. There's a 1-inch MPT, male pipe thread, that goes into the port at the bottom. 3/4 inch, I think it is. Is it 3/4? No, it's 1 inch for 1-inch pipe. Anyhow, the 1-inch pipe goes into the base, and then there's a hose that goes from there into, we have in the wall there, right in there, you see it covered up by a canvas right there, but behind the canvas, under there, is a 3-inch PVC pipe that's with a hole drilled through the wall. That goes to the inside. It's just a sink, a fiberglass sink inside the shop where it's warm, and in that sink is where the leveler, the automatic fill is, so it can't freeze, it can't get froze up, nothing can happen to it. And the water goes out the side of the tank, not the bottom, out the side of the sink inside. So everything is a downhill run, downhill from the sink into the port at the bottom of this, the little drain hose, the drain hole at the bottom. It's a downhill run all the way from that sink to here, but the level in the tank will be the same elevation as the level in the sink. So whatever that sink elevation is set to, that's what this tank will be. Now, for my sink inside, I had to add some legs to it, a little taller, to gain like a, what was it, about 10 inches, 12 inches. We raised it 12 inches up, and then drilled the hole through the wall, and the hole through the wall had to be higher because this building has a poured concrete foundation. So, had to go, I thought it was easier to put legs under the sink than to drill through 8 inches of poured concrete. Much easier. Anyhow, that's why the sink got raised up, and that's why that pipe's a little bit high, but runs out here to this tank. And to keep that hose from freezing, we have, you see the line that goes in there? Okay, into the tank? Okay. It's just heat tape. There's a place down in Hopkins, Minnesota, that makes commercial grade heat tape that just run the heat tape. Of course, the sensor has to be outside, and the sensor goes up in, and it makes a few little loops around in there to heat the water, and then goes through the hose into the sink inside. Just goes through, feed it right through. The heat tape that I get at Hopkins in Minnesota, commercial grade, and the let's see, the diameter of it, where the cap is on the end, it's like almost exactly a 1/2 inch in diameter, so it easily fits through this 1-inch pipe through the fittings. Of course, inside the fittings are only like 7/8 or something, but it fits through there easy, goes into the building. And the only question I have left is when it gets 40 below, is that heat tape enough? A couple loops to go in the bottom of this tank before it goes in. Is that heat tape enough to keep this from freezing? If it gets iffy, I'll put a piece of 2-inch styrofoam and let it float on top of here. And if I do that, I'll have to put a weight on top of it so the cows don't knock it off. But I'll just have a hole. I've done it before. A hole in one end of it, enough so they can get a hole about the size of a 5-gallon bucket, so they can get their nose in there. And they kind of like the warm water better than cold water in the winter. So we'll just see how it works when it gets about 40 below. But so far, everything looks good, and I don't have to touch it. And all this stuff new tank, new insulation. I used an old strap, but all the stuff together, less than $200. So for the penny pincher that I am, I think it did pretty good. Huh? What do you think, Rosebud? That's Rosebud over there with a Slurpee milk on her mouth. She's yeah. She thinks this is okay too. So enjoy the journey. Oh, one more thing. This. Oh, I brought this out. This is what we used before to get the water out there. But these buggers, the hose, the heat tape hose, where you get the hose and everything, it's all together. Well, the one that I bought, that was $104, $107 plus tax. Well, the one that I bought, it didn't even last 1 year. That stuff from Hopkins, Minnesota. Oh, what's inside of this? Here, I cut it just so you could see. Inside, it's just the length of heat tape inside of there. That's it. But running a regular hose is a challenge because it's got its complications. It's all turned around. You got to have the connection outside that's got the thermostat in it. Anyhow, I saved this just to show you. It's just heat tape inside of there, but 28 feet of that commercial grade stuff is still only $50, so it's less than half the price of this and a much higher quality. So I think better is better, especially when it costs half as much. So there, now I can say enjoy the journey.